I was raised in Corktown, Michigan, as a family of 13. My parents migrated to Michigan in early 1945. So, my father migrated to Michigan in the late 1945s. He migrated to Michigan looking for work. My father was in the armed services. He was in the army. He himself came from a family of 18. My father was born in Utuado, Puerto Rico. My mother was born in Lares, Puerto Rico. My father met my mother when he was on leave from the military at a base in Puerto Rico, and he happenstance to stop and have a beer at a local establishment, and my mother was the waitress. And that's where my father fell in love with my mother, he says, instantly, and he told my mother that on his next leave he would return to bring her and marry her. Subsequently, my father did. He came several years later after he established himself in Detroit. He moved to Corktown, Michigan. He was able to find a home, purchased a home, was able to bring my mother, and at that time I had two older sisters who migrated with my parents to Michigan. My father was part of a resettlement community. My father assisted other Puerto Ricans and Latin Americans to come to Michigan. He would find them jobs, he would find them accommodations for their family, and he would help feed them, clothe them until they were well established. This was the community my father started early on. Had a lot of what they call brothers or compadres, is how we refer to them. And they were also in a group of Christians. It was a Christian group, and they were called cursillistas at that time. So basically what they had done was accepted a vow to be servants of Christ. In my opinion, life on the island is significantly different than living in a modern community like the community I lived in. My parents afforded to send me to private school, and they sent me to Catholic school along with my siblings. We lived in a 2-bedroom house that was converted to a 4-bedroom house. I think had I lived in the island, I would not have been able to be educated to the extent that I am now, nor my siblings as well. My parents do own land in Puerto Rico, so I can imagine that we would have worked the land and become farmers as such and not professionals. One of the biggest accomplishments that I credit my father with is that leaving the island um, forced you to not live in your cultural environment, and a lot of things were not available to you culturally. You couldn't get the same food items, you couldn't get the same, people were speaking English, people weren't speaking Spanish. So my father and his compadres created what is known as the Puerto Rican Social Club. It was initially located on Lafayette Street, and it was an opportunity for local Latinos and friends and anyone who really wanted to be involved could be involved and socialize, play indigenous games like dominoes, cards, other games that were natural to our community. And it gave my father a sense of belonging where he did not have one in the United States. This was a way for my parents and his compadres and my mother's comadres to maintain some semblance of culture and sense of belonging to their original culture from the island. Indoctrination, by that I mean we were forced to say the rosary every night at 7 p.m. without fail. We all went to Catholic school. We were required to wear dresses. We were never allowed to wear pants. We were very restricted in everything we did. I mentioned at one point that I really loved music. However, this was forbidden To me, at the time, I was not allowed to just wantonly play music or listen to it at my leisure. It was considered the devil's work. I am woman, hear me roar. I am too loud to ignore. This is a glimpse into the life of Carmencita Buentello. However, this is only a short fraction of my adventures and struggles and achievements in this life.